let's get this final over with. Welcome to my creative writing final by Liam. So start off with like life and how I got up to this. I think one thing that has really developed me to this point has been my health struggles. They mainly revolve around. I had a really hard time brushing my teeth twice a day for a really long time. It took me a while to get to a point where I could do it daily, then twice a day. And I don't think it was necessarily just brushing my teeth that got me here, or the criticism of it. When I finally started brushing my teeth daily, it was a big step up for me. It felt huge. But that's not how a lot of people saw it. A lot of people saw it as lazy or me just barely reaching a bar that should be easy for everyone. This kind of rooted the idea in me for the longest time that not all critics are based in necessarily good faith or can acknowledge that improvement matters a lot compared to where you're at. Look at where you started, where you're going, and look how far you've come. Someone else has already gotten there. I don't think everyone should be judged on the same criteria. People have different levels of things. And the dental problem really taught me that, showed me that. Another thing that really got me here was hobbies. A lot of hobbies. Games, doodle projects, and drawing. Me and my friends would get together after school and do stuff. Like, I had plenty. As I got older and older, people told me those hobbies would die out. Stop having them. You should work, work, work. Your hobbies don't contribute to society, and it really put it in a negative light for me. It sounded horrible to grow up, and I don't know where this idea came from. The idea that everyone has to be bored, everyone has to be stripped of their personality and life. The same mind slave robot with no hobbies. It's kind of scary to me how many people echo this idea that people shouldn't have hobbies or that some hobbies are wrong. Like, some people just want to have a good fun hobbies. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and really made me part of who I am now. As for actual writing work outside of this class and even outside of school, I never really got a lot of specifically writing work. I got a lot of extra help with handwriting. My handwriting's god awful, and you wouldn't be able to tell it's still god awful. But outside of handwriting and like basic elementary school stuff of learning to type, I never really typed that much, except one story, Tad Strange. I'm pretty sure we stole the name. I wouldn't know where. Someone recognized. Go for it. But me and my friends got together and wrote a short story about a guy named Tad Strange, who we never finished. That was it. We just got his name down and we made jokes about what he would do, but we were a bunch of kids. We would joke about writing it, not actually write it. But that's the closest thing I've ever had. Now for my literary influences. The first thing that got me back into the idea of writing had to be One Piece. An anime. Not a lot of people recommended it to me, actually. All my friends told me to go watch different shows that are easier to watch, that aren't as long. One Piece is very long, nearly 1,200 episodes long. But I really liked it. Every place you go is its own place, with connections, people, unique cultures, environment, and they exist outside of our main characters. We get to places, stuff has already happened. We missed it. We should have been there sooner. And when we leave, stuff still happens. We go back and it's changed. They really develop characters. We get to see characters interact in a variety of situations from multiple. We get almost everyone's backstory. It was very cool. While I want to take those away from the show, I'll admit it's a step up for me. The thing I'll take away most is power systems. One Piece, being an anime with fighting, has powers in it. It has two power systems, though, and a lot of people debate which is better, whether Devil Fruit or Pocky, the two power systems, which one is better. And the show doesn't handle it the best. I kind of took it to heart. Once the second power system got introduced, the first one faded into obscurity almost. Like it stopped getting used, creativity died down, and Nothing wrong with moving on, but it does make a jarring discrepancy seeing the old episodes have all this focus on devil fruit this, devil fruit that. I kind of took with me for future writing, try not to make things obsolete, try to keep introduced tactics and powers relevant through the whole show. Then, the show I watched after One Piece, Naruto, I do not have as many positives as One Piece. I do not like Naruto as much. They, with positives, there was a lot of good things in, like the characters. Some characters are really good. The main character is very fleshed out, and the main character's best friend, Sasuke, is also very fleshed out. They're both very good characters. But sometimes the scenes with them, while important, questionable. And oh my gosh, the world building. It's not how you do world building. I have two maps. This bottom left one is the map we get from the show. We get described five villages of ninjas. Well, a couple more, but five main ones. And those ninja villages are stated to be bought out for work for our other people. We don't know who those other people are. We can assume they're off this map, but we're never told to show or even gone in depth. For all we know, ninjas just exist for pay, and no one's there to buy them. It got to a point fans made the map on the right because it made no sense. The world was so small. Why do these five villages of mercenaries exist if there's no one to pay the mercenaries? It's not official though. That's not a real map. It didn't build its world. And its characters also falter. I know I just said the main and secondary characters were really good. Every other character was just a trait. Traits aren't characters. The love interest of the show, in air quotes, was kind, and that was it. They were just a kind person. That was it. That's all you really got for them in world building. Kind and occasional gag scenes where they might like, oh, whack out of character, they're a jerk. Oh, I'm so. But that's not a character. That's the trait of kindness. Your character's not just an emotion. There's more to characters than emotions. Or emotion. In the fight scenes almost always consisted of people screaming one word, doing a big attack, then monologuing. Repeat till someone wins. The villain would scream a big powerful attack, all the main characters go, oh my god. Then the main character screams a big strong attack, the villains go, oh my god. Repeat, repeat, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Like one villain who broke this mold, and he's the best villain in the whole show. Madara the goat. Everyone else, it's kind of generic and formulae, although this is very old. It started the. But I kind of took away from this. I don't want my characters to be just traits, but also I wanted to write better fight scenes. And that I got from JJK. JJK has not the greatest world building, admittedly. It exists in like two locations, maybe one, that's it. Hope you didn't want more. But the characters grow incredibly. We don't get too much at the starting point. The just starting point is where they started. That's all we get. Well, minus main character. But we get to see their growth from when we meet them. And it's incredible. They grow crazy. It's cool watching them develop. It's cool watching them make friends and like in a natural way. It's amazing to watch. And the fight scenes, it was beautiful. It's everything Naruto wasn't. They had named attacks still. They had cool powers, but people mixed them in, didn't shout it out loud. It would be death brawling till some side clearly won, then the talking and monologuing. They wouldn't just pause the combat. It was choreographed beautifully. And it really knew how to make compelling characters too. Sukuna, the main villain, in a manner of moments, first couple panels, people loved him. They wanted more of him. His character was so good. A villain resurrected from 1,000 years ago who talks in a funny dialect and is supposedly the strongest sorcerer of history, who wanted more. And it was very compelling. And the author knew this. My biggest takeaway from JJK was what to put importance in. Some stories, world building isn't all that. He didn't prioritize world building because he knew where his strength was character building, moment building, fight scenes. He prioritized those to make a great story. And that I took that lesson with me into writing, sometimes you have to drop certain aspects of a story to prioritize what you're good at, to prioritize what you want. Gone, a book. Whew, finally. But it shows. Gone is not a good book, in my opinion. I do not like it. It didn't set a lot of stuff up. Stuff just kind of happened, and then afterwards, a post, like, something after the event would come in and explain it, but not in a good way. There was no hint, you'd never be able to guess of it. World building, scrap that. A small city disappeared forever in some unknown spot with a huge unbreakable dome that no one knew about. We don't get to hear crap about it. Like, some researchers looked at it with a scanner. Cool, I feel like people would freak out more. Characters were honestly alright. They pretty good characters, made enough sense. Some of them were little iffy. That's now good powers. Man, I misspelled that. That's not good powers. You look at that. Editing. Here, want me to edit it? No, looking ahead. Back to slide. Like nothing ever happened. Yeah, that's not good powers. The power system sucked in the show. Doesn't really give a great explanation for it. It eventually gets around to it, but the first couple books, not really. Characters use their power like a sack of bricks. The powers would be super strong, and they just wouldn't know how to use it. As I put, the strength of the characters would fluctuate based off who we're following, who needs to win. To give a couple quick examples, the main character has the power of basically illuminescent fire. It would shoot out green, and it could burn anything, including through like plasma. It was super hot. His brother is a telekinetic. He has telekinesis and can pick up and move anything with his mind. His brother should win that fight. His brother can grab humans. His brother can fold you like a pretzel. He's done it before to other people. He's thrown them like basketballs. He's pulled himself up off of air and started flying. But he loses. He loses because he throws two bricks at the main character. And that's it. And what happened? Where did all your brains go? Drake, another character. Drake has immortality. He's completely immortal. You cut his head off, he'll just keep walking around and grow it back. Cut his arm off, it keeps going. He got blended up and sunk to the bottom of the Mariana Trench in bits after being eaten by a shark, and he managed to swim up as meat chunks, pull himself together, and go try to kill the guy who did that to him. He loses every fight he's a part of. And not only does he loses badly, and it makes no sense. I You're immortal. He makes the claim he doesn't feel pain. The book doesn't go out of a way to like emphasize his pain. We see him cut himself up all the time. Like he chopped himself down to a head at one point to throw himself faster, I'm pretty sure. Or was to fit inside a boat. And how do you lose that? Like you got cut by a knife and you collapse. Oh no, you lost your finger. You'll grow it back in 5 seconds. This show really taught me what natural stories look like. Not forcing characters to win because you want them to, not doing any weird stuff. There's characters in the world. How would it play out? Rogue Legacy 2. This is a good video game. I'm gonna go through examples of what I think, but this show really taught me, this game really taught me how to develop things in an interesting way, how to do twists right, and how to make characters compelling. Just to give an example of what I'd call a twist, was the death of Miguel. We don't know much about Miguel. He's the second area boss, and when you're going there, these floating hands are all around, along with dock workers. He's a pirate boss, so when you find floating mechanical hands and pirates, fish, and other stuff. And when you beat him, you might think, oh yeah, the pirate stuff makes sense, but what was just the hands, the automaton hands? You never learn until the last boss of the game, named Tubal. Once you beat Tubal, you get his lore and find out he controls those floating hands. He used them to kill Miguel. It's such a wow moment to think the enemy that makes no sense in the pirate ship area, there's a reason for it to be there. It kind of hits you. Third area. Ooh, the third area is so good. Third area, before you even get there, is locked behind a gate. It is stated the gate is closed due to security reasons, but all your descriptions of the place are sunny fields where they grow crops, bright, sunny skies. Well, the gates open. Open them. When you get there, it is anything but sunny fields. It is a snowy wasteland with zombies walking around as the main enemy. And the sun has been blocked out by filth, dark trench, sky like lightning clouds that have been emitting from the ground. The crops were all dead. You walk through dead crops, you get description of these people trying to grow crops by using dead bodies as fertilizer, planting dead, long dead seeds to try to grow anything, and eventually resorting to cannibalism to live. The boss of that area is a I can't I can't think of the word, but the boss of the area was like the head farmer turned widow, turned deep cannibal, isolated in the mountains, ran away to hide in the mountains, escaped from everything, hold on to hope. And it's so depressing. It's so up to this point it's been the green field, but when you get there, man, it hits so hard. When I say the characters are beautiful, this picture here is of Estuary Lamech. I'm gonna give you one quote to characterize him and nothing more. Here's that quote. I am an estuary, one of only a select few handpicked by our king. We are the best of the best, and by the king's decree all others stand below us. Yet here I sit rotting in the halls after my fellow estuaries banished me from the table. Me, of all people, from the table. Me, from the table. Me. If I think we should kill some of the scholars, then I get to spend my hour explaining why. Not my fault the others don't spend their full hour speaking their mind. And who cares if I've brought up the same argument for the last 30 meetings? I am an estuary. I can bring it up as many times as I want. They think they can throw me out, like I am somehow their lesser. Well, no. I am not below them. They are below me. Every day they patter away at their little civic duties like natty little nya 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 rats. They read their stupid little flip books and they train their weak little herp a derp soldiers and grow their ugly little eggplant. I don't know what sound an eggplant makes, but I am beyond those mundanities. My role is too important to be hindered by these duties. I am the bastion that guards the gates, the last, they only, required line of defense against any would-be attackers. This peace places them in a dull stupor. They need me. One day this peace will end. When that day comes, I will show them who their superior truly is. This quote is incredible. It builds his character immediately. You can picture this guy in your mind. And I'm just going to leave it to that. If you want to know more, play the darn game. Harry Potter, who's ready to make some people mad. Hottest take of 2026. Harry Potter wasn't as good as when you read it as a kid. It has some beautiful setup. It was very interesting. The mage world separated, and there's a lot of places to go. You could go everywhere from like wizards thinking they're so much better, supremacy, how they didn't help anyone. Like there's slavery. How would the main character deal with the slavery? There's not equal treatment. Hermione gets mistreated a bunch in the movies, and no one stands up for her. And none of that's paid off. Everything I just said, throw it all out the window. By the end of the movie, actually, they say the slaves were a good thing and that they wanted to be slaves. Hermione, who wanted to free them, is pictured as an idiot. That's crazy to think about. That is wild to think about. By the end of the movie, muggles or non magic, there's still like no awareness there. And where was the book ever planning on going with that? You think they would build like they built that up as a separation, and it was a bad thing. But no, I guess it wasn't. And contradictory world building. Oh my god. It builds up as early, I think, second book, maybe third book, but Hermione gets a time dilation to warp through time, go backwards to do more classes in a day, more than seven. That's credible. Where was that during Voldemort's battle? Why didn't they use more strong spells against Voldemort? The spells disarm spell against Voldemort. Why didn't that work? Pick him up, slam him down. Why didn't that work? No gravity or push spell. Why didn't you do the? They just kind of stood there and lost. There's more spells to cast. Why not cast them? This Harry Potter, thinking back to it, it really teaches me some stories don't necessarily need lessons, but you got to think about every lesson in the book. The lessons the books teach might not be the greatest the deeper you look into it. Some of them are very questionable, and try not to set things up if you're not going to pay them off. I thank Harry Potter for that. Scythe. Scythe had an amazing premise. It had, I'll come out right now. It is a really good book, great book. It had a great world building. It had really nice characters, and it again amazing premise. And I think that does it a lot. A good premise holds a book up sometimes, especially when you capitalize on it, like Scythe. There was one fault though, well, two, a couple faults. The first big problem for me was the main character, Rowan, but as the meme greatly implies, he's misdone so hard. He is set up as like the best Reaper in the book, set up as being able to beat 50 others in a battle, a whirlwind of hundreds of weapons that he can control at once, and he loses every important fight for the plot. This kind of comes back to Gone. This kind of comes back to Gone, but it's just so annoying to see that. Oh yeah, he got drunk and can't win. Oh no, he stubbed his toe and can't win. Oh no, just let if you're gonna set up such a strong main character, and then realize he's too strong, set him up weaker. The other problem was implied events. The book implied a lot of background things that, if you thought about, would kind of contradict the foreground things. Although, admittedly, this is not a big problem compared to the end. End of the series is our main character, Rowan, flying like 30 years in a spaceship alone. Everybody else goes into cryosleep to get there immediately. And he says, "Hey, I'll be the pilot. Don't worry, guys. I'll take this burden." They don't delve into what that does to the character, what that sacrifice means. They just skip it. It's one paragraph and it's over. 30 years. And it's the book ends with like this hopeful message of we're here, we're there. His character should be crazy, no? What's up with his character? I want more. What happened? It kind of taught me this important lesson that if you're not going to have your main character have a happy ending, make it that way. Make your book have a sad ending. Don't be Scythe, where it tries to depict a happy ending when it was really a sad ending. It was not a good ending. The Unwanted. It's been a while since I've read this series. I might get some things wrong, but Unwanted showed me how much fun magic can be. Action. I kind of got sick of magic from Harry Potter and a bunch of other fantasy books. Like, I thought formulaic, yeah. Unwanted did it differently, and it really got me hooked again. Of like, magic can be more than just mana and spells. Magic should be more than mana spells. These spells and unwanteds were like based off creativity, passion, how much like force you put into the words and the movements, and they're really cool to think about. And they really developed their characters and world amazingly. They were all started horrible in some cases and became people you'd want to be best friends with. I think of all the magic takeaways, I think the biggest thing I got from Unwanted was how to develop a world in a real way. Each place in Unwanted's develops in such a human way. They move when you go back, the next logical step has happened. They go to an island with like no tech. It's rain all day. And our main character makes a spell to remove the rain for half the day. It's like, I'll help you guys out. And when we come back, suddenly they have like outdoor shelters with sunbathing rooms, and because they've never seen the sun before, they're now their first times getting out. Yeah, that makes sense. That's really cool to think about what they've all done now with this freedom. I really thought I had to implement that in some way with some of my stories. Warrior Cats. Ooh, it's been even longer since I've read this series. It's a long series. It's a very long. In fact, I'm gonna call this its biggest problem. It doesn't know when to end. Yeah, it was an interesting premise. There was no main characters, really. That's how I'd put it. There was just characters, and we got to follow one. And this really made it cool. It felt like our main character could die realistically in some cases, at least for some of the series, not all of them. The problem came on is the how long it went. It started running out of things to tell, story to note, and it came to more formulaic stuff. Eventually, the first main character came back as the chosen one, the honored one, and it really ruined the character for me. For a lot of people, it ruined the character. I think this book really told me sometimes you need to know when to drop something, when to move on. The story should have ended as early as book Series 4, Series 3. It had just kept going. Really made it worse. This is probably my favorite literary influence, and I'm going to have to change my tone. Borowska is a very serious book. It's very heavy subject matter that I cannot talk about, so I'm going to have to keep this brief. It had amazing world building. The characters were you loved to hate them, you hated to love them. It was incredible. Our main character's father was a prick. You could see it in all the ways he was negligent and an asshole, but our main character was a kid. He couldn't see that. It was really disturbing to read the book in this way. The twist it builds up is incredible. I have a little quote in the bottom left. The Driskin underground mine, what was left, however, was skinned men. The whole book was built up as a magic book with skinned men hunting people in a forest. Watch out, run away. Twist of the book. Big twist they built up, which is going to be spoiler if you want to read it. I recommend you read it. There was no skinned men. There was no things. The end of the book, pressing. The main character fails and runs away. He's out of money. He's a gambler. All of his friends are dead or brain dead. And there is no skinned men. It's just people. It was the horrors of what people could do to other people when pushed to a extreme for greed, for just plain cruelty. The symbols, I took a lot away from this book, to be honest with you. I took a lot. And I want to talk more, but I'd have to delve into more spoilers and subject matter that's just not appropriate for a video like this. So I would truly recommend read Borowska. You can find it online for free. You can find it online on the school Chromebook. Just be aware of what you read. Very serious. I will now open up the lively mood again. My first story, Smoldering Metal. It was about some robots running out of oil. The idea was that you would have a hateable protag, and we would see him grow to be a likable character. And at the end, there was a big twist. Oh wow! Really, my first my first story taught me two things: questionable originality. As the picture shows, I completely stole this idea from another place. The characters are unique. The setting is mostly unique, and the story that happens is unique, but I stole so much from this other source. It didn't really feel like my own. Even thinking about it, I think of that other source so much. And I think it shows through in a lot of ways. Why even about robots? Why not about humans running out of food? I could have connected it so much easier. And it really helped me think I need to make my own story, not a riff off what the other guy overdoes. But it also told me how hard it is to make a compelling story. It is easier to point out flaws than to build something incredible. So when someone critiques your whatever you do, you have to understand that it is easier to critique than it is to build and fix and go forward like that. This book really taught me a lot in that regard. Second book, Impending Karma, was a lot more unique. It was about blood magic, blood feeling magic, and it had a lot more characters. In the first story, I only had one. This has like 8 characters we all follow, and their paths all converge, twist, knot, and come together at the end. I really stole the idea. No, steal. I really had the idea of Pain growing character, the main character, the most important one we follow, goes through a lot of hardships, and it's more about how he deals with that. How he gets to a point you might disagree with him, or he might do an action you hate, but he's still the main character. You see how he got there. I think this really helped me understand how to set up bigger events. I didn't like personally how I set up the final battle. I think I set it up poorly. There wasn't enough there. Or in some cases, there's too much there. I went into too much detail with small things, but for the bigger things, I left it out, and it felt ugly. This really told me to write a story, not a scene. I had a cool fight scene in my head, and I wanted to write about it. But a story had to go with that fight scene. The characters for that fight scene had to get there. And I hated writing some parts, I loved writing others, but I really needed to learn. It's about writing a story, not just one scene. My third story, it was pretty ugly, admittedly. It was more of a poem. I wrote a poem compared to everything else, and most of them touch on is what's a deeper meaning? I tried to have some deep meaning. I had to like some hidden behind the wall. You had to read into it. But reality was mumbo jumbo. There was nothing there. I had to connect it more to reality, and now that I'm looking back on it, I've learned that, not all writing methods are for everyone, and I don't think poems are for me. If you don't like how you wrote, maybe poems are for you. People write in different ways, they like different things. I don't personally like just happy, bland stories, but I also don't like just boring stories, I should say. I don't like scary, plain scary. I want mixes. I want matches. I want there to be a little bit of everything in my stories, and I didn't write that. I wrote a poem. It's really taught me not to. Now, for the court, I do state I am guilty of growth. I think I've truly grown. And for the first thing will be setting. So, a quote from my first story: turn the lock, locking the front door. So walking down the street from my store to head all the way to my friend's house. Ugh, could my store not be at the edge of town? I look up at the trash piles surrounding both sides of the street. Sometimes I question where all the trash came from. I have heard from the rumors that it was the humans, but last I checked, humans ran away. Quote got cut off. This is really ugly. I was trying to set up that his store was super far away and that his friend was also far away from him, and that there was these big trash walls, like random walls blocking the sidewalk. First off, worthless repetition. I repeat multiple times, like, I turned the lock, locking the. Yeah, that's what locks do. Good job, moron. But the structure, it was awful. Just to reword it off the top of my head, I could have been like, I started walking. I could feel my legs slowly, like, building up. The shadows started cressing over. Weird for the sun being 3, 4 p.m., but I guess that's what the trash walls do. Man, do I have to be so far? You can, like, I don't directly bring it. I am far away. And that comes in our after thing, the opening to my second story. Ding! The doors to the bus open wide. The chilly wind blows through my hair. Winter, definitely in season. This is way better. I am giving you pieces to note multiple things, and it is nowhere near as stilted. The bus doors open wide. We now know our main character, wherever he is probably on a sidewalk or waiting for a bus of some kind. We can even refer maybe school. The chilly wind blows through my hair. Winter is in season. We now know for a fact winter is in season, but he doesn't point out snow. You don't know necessarily if there's snow. Then this might indicate a warmer region. Chilly wind shows you that it is windy. Well, we could bring up flags moving now, or maybe the wind comes in later. These things are like small details that are easy to add and imply so much without you needing to tell the audience. Story structure before. Oh boy. Whoosh. A loud metallic groan comes from far above the house, muted out by the ceiling, yet still audible. I freeze, hearing a clicking sound. Then, step by step, a rhythmic thumping getting louder and louder approaching the stairs. Watch a shadow slowly take over the frame of the door, blocking out the small amount of light that was peering through the staircase. With the shadow approaching, I finally snap out of my gaze and push myself into the corner to hide. There's no build up for this. This just happens. Like, I could have built up maybe like a dark dot dashing across the sky. I could have brought up shadows dancing. Could imply that there was something up there, but no, I just dropped something out the sky on you. Also give you too much info, I would actually argue. You can get where they're walking from, that they're at the door. There's no uncertainty in your mind what's happening, other than maybe what the black dot is. But I'll warn you, bad story, I tell you what it is later. This is really bad. If I set this up, this could have been intense. You could have felt your heart pacing with the main character. Will he make it out okay? But now, oh, whoa, what's going on? So compared to after, the door creaks open. No making it harder than normal to open. The teacher complains. Must we train out here, Karma? Extreme weather crafts better bodies. I walk out into the after the snow was all that. The door swings open. Wait, isn't it winter? I ask Chaka as I walk out the open door. Chaka just now leaves the door. Is it? I stopped keeping track of the weather once I moved here fully. Chaka looked into the sky. It was completely sunny. There is a scene missing here. Well, not scene missing, but we have a time jump between the left and the right quote. time jump forward from the past. And this is a really big piece of info. It was originally snowy out. It was snowy till our main character gets knocked out and brought to the main location. And when they're knocked out, we jump to the past. Go to a past event, and there it is snowing. So it only makes sense to connect. It must be snowing in the present. It's snowing in the past, snowing now, it was snowing then, but then it isn't. It's sunny. The question, why is it sunny? Did some amount of time pass? Why was it snowy then? And I answer these questions. This builds you, the way I structured it leaves you with questions that can be answered and are answered. And you can even come to your own conclusion that gives you early information. I'd call that setting things up more correctly. Reader engagement. Quote, back into effect. Warning. Oil deadly low. Warning. Please change oil. Warning. Started to fade out. The last thing I hear and feel is me getting picked up and elsewhere at rapid speed. Sound of roaring wind blasting of everything. Quiet. It's there. You can see the parts. Running out of oil. He's powering down. He needs help. The problems with pacing. It happens too fast. After that, everything goes quiet. I resolve it on the next line down if I had the frickin' screenshot, but I don't, so well. But then also attachment. Why should we care if this guy dies? Now, in the context of the full story, you might care, but at this point, he's not a good guy. You might be hoping he loses here. And without attachment to the story, you're just questioning what's going on and going, yeah, okay. There's not enough to grip you. That comes after. Quote, I grab his neck, my right hand pinning him down. I stare at him for a brief moment, his eyes showing fear. Wait! My fist collides hard with his body. Mom, look what I made, Jack called to his mom. Wham! Blood splatters across my arm. That's cute, dear. Have you seen your brother? Wham! Bleeding becomes a gargle of blood catching in his throat. I'm up here, Mom. Jordan walks down the stairs. Wham! Bubbles form in the pooling blood. Wait. What were you doing? Nothing, Jordan mumbles back. Wham! Fist makes contact with the floor. Her mom walks out, a smile on her face. Okay, just don't do anything stupid. Wham! The floor breaks up, cracks forming along the ground. I'm sorry, boy, Jack cried out, being held back. Fire took everyone, young. Wham! I stand up. This is really engaging, in my opinion. Immediately get the sense that there is a killing going here. We're flashing back to these memories. From an external sight, you might think that the villain is here getting killed, or the villain is killing. You don't fully know. You might disagree with the main character. It's the main character doing the killing. You might disagree with that. You might not know why he's doing that. You might disagree, and that's okay. I set it up as a mostly disagreeable thing. It's not something you necessarily should agree with. Even under the cuts to the past, the character he's killing is the brother to the person called Jack. And he kills Jack, not our main character. Jordan kills Jack, his brother. Our main character in Rage kills Jordan back, and that's where this flashing back goes. We get a more in-depth backstory later, but I think this scene is very engaging. It immediately grips you and makes you question, like, is this right? What's going on? I want to know more. Ooh boy, dialogue. Let's read this quote. Good. We're going to take you elsewhere to get the procedure done. Are you okay? They stop, looking at me confused. I hardly noticed. Did anything change? And suddenly my vision started to. My legs fully buckled. Last thing I saw was the emergency kicking back into a. Warning, warning, warning. We had that part later, so. Holy paragraph, Batman. Could you guess off the warning, warning, warning that was a dialogue box? That just doesn't sound real. That's sort of the biggest problem. The actual quote doesn't sound real. It sounds like a bot or robot is saying that. And I get the irony in saying that in a story about robots, but I'm characterizing these guys as humans. Having them talk like robots makes no sense. They shouldn't be. Along with the paragraph. The paragraph is yuck ugly. And then afterwards, Gia lightly shakes his head, breathing out heavily. Well, any of you got a favorite color? Mine's yellow. A light chuckle escapes me. I always enjoyed purple. Blaze looks over at me. Purple? Never thought a lumberjack like you would like purple. I really like this. This is natural in a way. The scene they're in is very high intensity. They're about to go to a death brawl, a battle of the strongest, or and in the moment before the battle, a character breaks the silence, asking the question, "What's your favorite color?" It's very contrasting, and the humor. It was nice writing a happy scene before the basically the rumbling. It also builds characters in a much more subtle way. The way people refer to each other, calling each other names, you get a sense of friendship that's there that we might not see. Or even the character who shakes, breathes, starts it all. He later becomes a coward and runs away, and in a way it's hinted here. He's the only one breathing heavily. He's the only one that shook. He is the only one stalled. It is the small details that I think really build this. I think it's formatted right. Correctness of expression. Oh dear. Walk on the sidewalk. What happened here? Did I make the right decision? As I walk, I run into a dead end, blocked by the heap of scrap metal. Where's my shop? I look to the left to confirm the building. There should be another couple of streets this way. I fly up to get a top down view. What's a run on? I just put. Why didn't I end my sentences with periods? I just put commas in. Comma, comma, comma. Sometimes it's a new idea. To start a new idea, put a period before it, please, unless it's the start of something. Well, some of these things just weren't important. I could have cut this down to like two-thirds of the size, added the periods. This is ugly. Oh dear, indeed. But after, heavy on my mind, feel my pulse lightly start to pound. You'll be fine. I breathe in slowly, reaching down and opening my pocket. Look at it closely, feeling my pulse quicken, feeling my surroundings blow out. He be fine? I try to close the locket, but my body won't let me. I sit there, looking at my locket, unable to move for some time. Click. I stare at the golden exterior for only putting it down, trying to sleep, trying to get to time. This is not only formatted correctly. Look at all those period. Like I have a lot of ideas in there. The breathing, the locket, trying to sleep and putting it down. But I separate it correctly with periods and commas where it should be. I give you time to digest some information. Will he be fine? I give you a little stall time to really think about it. The click before it shuts. It also builds up a lot for the character, but it's not there for that. You can read into that if you want to. There's definitely a lot of learning here, and I intentionally made it so. Not related to correctness of. And for the most damning piece of evidence, best piece of evidence that say I for sure am guilty of growing. Weak characters. Play a little game. I'm gonna read these quotes. Can you guess everything right? What are the personalities of these two people and how do they differ? Quote, don't tell me you're buying this crap, he quote, while walking down the stairs looking at me. Nah, this is what that droid was spouting in the streets on my way here. Crazy pills, I tell you. Trying to accuse lectures in the government. When's the last time you've ever seen a deconstructor around here? I sound shocked that someone would even consider that a logical idea. Yeah, right. Even if they did something wrong, they probably had good intentions. Besides, what are you, me, or hell anyone really gonna do about it? Not like I want to fight them, that's for sure. He responds in a casual manner, sitting beside me. Got me on your side there, I respond, looking back at the radio, fighting something to listen to. These two people are supposed to have different personalities. Our main character is supposed to be disagreeable, but not unredeemable. He's supposed to come back. This scene, they sound the exact same. Sound like two people that agree with everything on anything. And if you got that, I did it wrong. Always remember, you're unique just like everyone else. But afterwards, I feel anger bubble over as I barely dodge the blast, fearing my pace would be tempered down. What does that word mean? Those hold laundry? I am far above this. He jumps up and over the car. I leap out, slamming him down into the ground. I landed, my foot pile drived. Grounded you far above one. Bring my fast fist back, ready to strike. Wind blast me off. You idiot. Unlike you, I have goals to better this world. Make things go back to the good old 1940s. brings his arms up, like he was acting for an audience. I frowned, raising an eyebrow. Prepared for history. I stabilized myself against the punched my hand into the ground. These two characters are very different. One of them is spouting about good old 1940s, bringing his hand ups for an audience. It's showmanship. He's bringing a lot of showmanship. The character we're following, as you can see, he's a moron. He doesn't care for history, doesn't get what that 1940s gig was, and when he thinks hampered, gets sidetracked about laundry. I'm giving these two people different personalities, different characters. And personalities in writing is very important and fun to write. It's important to note here that some mistakes aren't intentional. They aren't mistakes when intentional. A character might speak wrong, and that's okay. Characters might speak weird, that's okay. It's how you do characters. So, a retrospective of everything I've gone through, a recap. Having finished story 2, I felt really good. Uh, but I think I learned a lot with drafting. I didn't do enough drafting for the first couple stories. My growth mostly came from a misunderstanding of grammar and spelling fixes, along with the blueprinting better. And Unit 3 really taught me what not to do instead of Unit 2, what taught me what's good stuff to do. So as a retrospective, it really was just learn the basics, man. Words of advice for future. This isn't just an English class. I wouldn't say to you just take it. You like writing. You really passionately enjoy writing. Or even if you don't, I didn't enjoy writing when I took this. But you want freedom. This class offers freedom in a way unlike any other. I tell you to take it. It gives you the freedom, it gives you the openness to write what you want. And sometimes, even if you're doubting yourself, you just have to start. I know I was doubting my second story, but I thought, crap, man, I just gotta start it. Doubted each step, but I kept moving forward. Now I have a 175 ish page story that I'm looking to supersede with a bigger one later. You just have to move forward. And if you don't like the class, that's okay. Not everything is for everyone. So, what about my future? What am I going to try to do creative writing related for the future? I think something they took away from this was naming convention. I'm really god awful with names. I had to use language translators and be like, what's a generic word in some other language translated to English? Or the other way around, and it felt a little sloppy, I won't lie. I was also very uncreative with personalities. I had like the same four personalities that I could get down, but on more than that, tough beans, I couldn't do it. And I really enjoyed already having the characters in a setting. I could write a story. I just couldn't make characters. I could make the setting, just not as good as one already there. Ooh, nope. Go forward. So that combined with those info combined tells me that for future writing, I think I would want to do parody writing. Parody is not always goofy. I don't want to make just Spaceballs and Dumb and Dumber a million times over. But I would want to like offshoot, explore what did the non-important people do in the world? What happened to the non-main characters? Who got screwed over, that got beat by the bad guys? I really want to explore that topic. The game I want to do that most for, Monster Hunter World. It is an amazing game, and the story is good, but the story is hidden so deep, and we play as some all-powerful god effectively, it's hard to relate. I want to, for the next writing project, write a story from a normal civilian from this game. Give you the full story from their perspective. I think that would be very cool. I think I could continue this forward with other projects. What was it like to be someone with no magic in Harry Potter, but still knew it happened? Still sat down with the knowledge of the Voldemort wars at the magic bank vault? I want to know more about those guys. What was up with the trolls? What was up? I want to write stories about those guys. That's probably what I'll do. As for full future zooming way out, I don't know if I'm gonna do much creative writing. Computer science is a big part of what I like. I enjoy coding and app development and all these other small things. I'll still have writing as there. I'll maybe do it as a hobby. But in far future, I do not see creative writing lasting forever. Bye bye. Sorry for wasting 50 fucking minutes. Oh my god.